Two strangers, one language, and a love that was never meant to be equal. This is not a love story. It's a story about power and how it hides behind politeness. About a woman taught to translate words, but never her own feelings. About a man who believed he was different until it was time to choose. This is the story of love that existed only as long as it was convenient.
This is Salima. She's going to live with you.
As what?
She performs wifely duties.
What, sewing?
She performs wifely duties in the bedroom.
I
Great
sleep
man.
with you.
We expect you to know the language within 6 months. Salima's what's known around here as a sleeping dictionary.
No, but poor girl, she was just picked?
I pick you.
In 1936, the British Empire continued to expand its influence around the world. Young people were completing their education and heading off to work as administrators in distant colonies, hoping to change the lives of local peoples for the better. But more often, it was these lands that changed them. Sarawak, 1936. A young Englishman, John Truscott, having just finished his studies, arrives for an internship in an English colony on the territory of present-day Malaysia. His mother died during his childhood, and his father, a war hero, was killed trying to make the lives of the local people more civilized and to give them education. John decided to continue his father's work and came to Sarawak to help the local tribes. Upon arrival, he is forced to wait. The representative of the local Iban tribe, who was supposed to meet him, is delayed. Soon, Belansai appears on the pier, the chief's son and heir, who may one day become a leader of his people. He introduces John to the nature and customs of the region and takes him to Henry Bullard, the head of the colonial administration. Belansai considers John naive and too young, so he doubts his usefulness. Upon learning John's purpose for coming, Henry calls him too dreamy. In his opinion, the local tribes are unpredictable and dangerous. He shows John his living quarters and introduces him to the local cook named Famous, who in the past had problems with the law. Despite a troubled past, Famous is a true culinary master, capable of surprising anyone with his dishes. John feels confused. His academic knowledge is of little interest here. Belansai introduces him to the tribal chief, who insists that John drinks with them. Refusal is considered an insult. After that, a traditional show is arranged for the Englishman. Songs, dances, and costume performances. There, John notices for the first time a mysterious girl with a gentle smile and deep eyes. He falls in love at first sight, but is afraid to admit it to himself. In the evening, the tribe continues the festivities by inviting John to dance. His poetic speech fails to impress the locals, so he decides to dance with Belansai, which causes general laughter. Unaccustomed to local customs, John drinks a bit too much and falls asleep right in the square. Waking up in the middle of the night, he notices that the atmosphere around has become tense. Some of the tribe's customs can be quite strict. In the morning, Henry explains that although the Ibans may seem friendly, one must be cautious with them. Their traditions are complex and sometimes unexpected. A bit later, the same girl from whom John couldn't take his eyes off the previous evening appears on his doorstep. She is half English and has chosen the boy to become his named wife, a dictionary for exchanging knowledge. John is shocked by the local customs and refuses the nightly games with Salima, which greatly offends the girl. He refuses, since that's not how things are done here. The boy realizes that he cannot break tradition and agrees to let Salima stay, becoming his teacher. He wants to limit their relationship to studying languages together. The next morning, Belansai decides to play a prank on the newcomer and gives him a bag with the heads of Chinese men. John takes it more than seriously, but Salima defends him, as the remains belong to monkeys, and there's nothing to fear. Famous notices that the Englishman isn't interested in the girl and decides to become friends with him. He brings Malacca into the house, a native who returned from England after losing popularity among men. John takes this as an insult, since he likes girls and doesn't need Malacca. In a bad mood, the boy argues with Salima and kicks her out of the house. The next morning, John notices that the girl is living under a tree nearby. It turns out she chose him, and now she can't return to the tribe, since they will not accept her and will consider it a disgrace. The Englishman apologizes for his behavior and asks the girl to return to the house. He is ready to learn and to teach her, but he's against a relationship. A bit later, John meets Aggie, Henry's wife, who is raising young children. She is preparing the lawn for the arrival of their daughter and uses child labor to clear the field for a cricket game. In the evening, John practices the native language for the first time and tries to understand why Salima chose him. The girl does not hide that he dances originally and that she liked him because he seemed different from the other Englishmen. In the morning, Belansai provokes John and says that knowledge is useless. He knows a lot, but the knowledge didn't help the chief's son. The Englishman decides to prove Belansai wrong and suggests an underwater duel in the river. The boys dive, and the whole tribe watches with interest, waiting for a winner. Belansai surfaces first, while John stays underwater for almost 10 minutes. He does not hide the fact that he used an oxygen tank, but notes that it wasn't his lungs, but rather his intellect that helped him win. In the evening, John and Salima continue studying English and the tribal language. The girl shows her favorite book that she inherited from her father, after which the boy labels parts of the body in his language. At one point, the couple kisses. John acts too hastily, and the girl is left dissatisfied with his actions. She realizes that the boy must be taught more than just languages. The numerous lessons benefit John, and after another meeting, he asks her to stay. She cannot sleep in the same bed with him, as in their traditions this symbolizes marriage, and he probably doesn't want that. A bit later, John goes to a formal reception at Henry's, held to welcome his daughter Cecil and her companion Neville. The girl had studied Iban tribal culture in England and hadn't seen her parents in 5 years. All her life she had dreamed of coming to a British colony and helping her father. Neville is less romantic and considers the local people savages who cannot be corrected or taught. Returning home, John is greeted by Salima, who has prepared a festive costume with angel wings. The next morning, the Englishman helps resolve a dispute between rival tribes living nearby. He suggests a tug-of-war contest to decide who should remain on the land. The Iban tribe wins, but Salima is upset by John's behavior. Cecil annoyingly photographs the girl, and Salima asks John to defend her, but he ignores the request. At that moment, Salima realizes that John treats her just like the other colonizers, seeing the girl as an object who should know her place. The joy of victory is overshadowed by another event. The current brings several members of a neighboring tribe ashore. Their skin shows signs of an unknown disease which foretells disaster. John is ready to go on a reconnaissance mission upstream to find the source of the problem. Meanwhile, Aggie tries to talk to John to arrange a marriage for her daughter. John politely declines but promises to think about it, then returns home to apologize to Salima and explain that she means much more to him than she thinks. In the morning, Belansai, John, Salima, and Famous head upstream and find a dying tribe. At one point, an attempt is made to attack John, and the chief's son finds the culprit. It turns out that nearby miners are deliberately poisoning the local tribe to clear the land for silver mining. Even though the miners are English, John tells the locals about it, and they decide to take revenge. The locals thank John for his help, and he returns home. John and Salima finally realize they love each other and want to be together. John decides to talk to the colonial leader to ask for permission to marry. It turns out this violates local customs and way of life. Therefore, he is forbidden to do so. Salima is merely a translator and must marry one of the tribe members, while John must find a bride among his equals. Once, Henry also fell in love but managed to stop himself in time and remember who he really is. John refuses, and Henry with Aggie threaten him. The boy can either take a leave and forget about Salima or face 10 years in prison because, under his orders, a neighboring tribe killed the Englishman who came to the island. He resists until the end and tries to free the girl who was imprisoned. Salima also loves John, but understands that it's better to give up this idea and promises to marry one of the natives. A year passes. John marries Cecil. Half a year later, the couple returns from London to Sarawak because they want to be closer to Cecil's parents. Upon arrival, John is restless and cannot calmly watch a movie because he constantly thinks about Salima. The next morning, John visits Neville, who has been living among the natives all this time. Neville hates the locals, mistreats the cook, and beats the translator. John dislikes this attitude towards the natives and asks Tipon to kill Neville if he harms her again. Later, John sees Salima with a small child and learns from the cook that it is his son. The girl married Belansai, who accepted her knowing that Selima was pregnant. John deceives Selima to meet her and see his son. He realizes that it will be difficult to change anything but wants to be a father to the boy. At night, Belansai, learning about John and Selima's meeting, tries to kill him. In the morning, Henry reproaches John for his actions and admits that Selima is his daughter by the translator. By law, John must execute Belansai. He hesitates for a long time and postpones the trial to the next day, but eventually, considering Henry's weakness, delivers the verdict against the chief's son. At night, Selima and John steal the keys to the prison cell, free Belansai, and let him escape. The couple plans to flee the next day, but must be patient. Cecil tells John that she is pregnant. They share the news with their parents, but after an evening gathering, the wife realizes that her husband does not belong to her. She thanks John for the pregnancy and lets him go so that he can be with Selima. Meanwhile, Selima knocks out the persistent Neville and also leaves the house. Selima waits for John near the steamboat, but he does not come. John arrives a little later, and the cook tells him that Selima has gone to the mountains with the child. Henry finds Selima but does not arrest her, admitting that he is her father. The girl had already guessed this and thanks the man for everything he has done for her and her tribe. Aggie is unhappy with her husband's decision and sends Neville to hunt down the fugitives. John catches up with Selima, who has gone into the mountains, but then Neville finds them. He is ready to kill the couple, but first wants to torment the girl. John fights the scoundrel and loses. It seems all is lost. But then the natives whom John once saved from his illness arrive just in time and kill Neville with 2 poisoned arrows. The couple realizes that there is no way back and stays in the jungle with the tribe that saved their lives. Now nothing scares them because they have a baby, and they are happy together. Understanding that they will have to live as wanderers, John is not afraid and invites Selima to dance. And that's where the film ends. They shared moments, they shared nights, they shared a language, but they never shared the same position. When the system was threatened, love became expendable. He stayed part of the world that protected him. She walked away to reclaim herself. No dramatic reunion, no happy ending, just the understanding that some love stories end the moment one person remembers who they are. Sometimes leaving is the only way to be free.